Hello and welcome to CIO News. I am Khushbu Soni, your host for the broadcast and a contributing editor at CIO News. Welcome to our Voice of CIO series. This is a recorded session and will be published on our CIO News website, which is cionews.co.in, as well as our CIO News LinkedIn handle. Let me dive in introducing my guest for today for our Voice of CIO series. He's Mr. Abhinanda Ghosh, the ex-Chief Information Officer at Agriculture Insurance Company. Abhinanda Ghosh has worked for almost 34 years at Agriculture Insurance Company Limited. Welcome, Abhinanda.
Hi, welcome. Good morning to you, and it's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, Abhinanda, for taking out the time. Abhinanda, to begin with, my first question to you is what role can a digital transformation play in the agriculture finance space, and especially in the insurance segment, underlining the need for crop insurance?
Okay, so I think this is a very fundamental question. Like, what role can digital transformation play in what we normally call it as crop insurance, agricultural insurance or crop insurance? Actually, see, crop insurance, unlike what people take it to be, are it's not really on the production side of agriculture. It is a financial instrument. Crop insurance is a financial instrument to help the farmer out, to bail him out when, despite all his efforts and all his inputs like pesticides, fertilizers, etc., due to natural calamity, his crop is wasted away, destroyed. So how will he stand up again and continue his occupation of agriculture in the next season? So he must be compensated for the loss. It's a financial matter, financial instrument. So therefrom, the concept of crop insurance has come. And if you talk of the role which technology plays in crop insurance in India, I think it should be pretty obvious, because it basically plays the same role as it would play in any other very, very large scale program, especially of the government, all pan-India program. See, for example, the first thing would be that the time frame. Yeah. If you manually, you know that in our country there are about 14 plus crore farm holdings. So 14 plus crore farm families. Yeah. Every season they are all engaging in agriculture. So 2 seasons means 6 months. Within 6 months, you have to reach out to them, take premium from them, get their data, like which crop, which area they are cultivating in. And then at the end of 6 months, you have to pay them back their claims, if any. The whole thing has to be done within a set time frame of 1 season.
Right.
Year. So how do you do it manually? Technology is a must. It has to come into the picture. Then secondly, you think of the location of the farmers, the remote access, the remote places where they are. If we were to go there physically, manually, personally, and collect the premium, meet with him, take the premium, then again go back and give him the claims, it simply wouldn't work. And from this also what comes is the economics of it. Just think of the crores of farmers which are there. As of now, I think out of the 14 plus crores, the crop insurance is available is taken by about 5-6 crore of farmers. So if every season you have to reach 5 crore of farmers, and then how much personally, individually, if it has to be done, how much would it cost? You have to go to the remotest of the places and manually meet them and take the premium, give the claims and things like that. Economically, it is totally unviable. So you have to find a way of automating the whole system from the technological perspective.
Correct.
And therefore, this becomes the premier role of technology in the crop insurance intervention.
Right. Agreed. What digital technologies you think can be implemented to enhance the service reach and service quality in this domain?
See, from the first question which you asked,
Yeah.
benefits the technology intervention will bring in.
Right.
From that itself, we can sort of get into like the standard technology interventions, technological innovations which need to be implemented for crop insurance. For example, first of all, we were talking about the huge numbers of farmers,
Yeah.
and a lot of data coming from them. So you have to have an application to take in all that data in a very short time, if not in real time. Best would be real time, but otherwise in a very, very short time. The whole infrastructure has to be scaled up to accommodate that kind of an activity and transaction. And you have to have a database to match.
Right.
The moment you have that, you also have to have a lot of integration, not only with other systems in your total IT environment, technology environment, but also on the outside. For example, if they want to digitally send the payment, and that is exactly what they will have to do, or the banks, local banks on their behalf will have to do. So you have to have an integration with a payment gateway and have the entire digital payment facility.
Yeah.
And also, as you know, we'll have to have because all this data is very valuable. So you have to have a security ring and a multi-layer security ring. You must have it, without which the data can be leaked, can be destroyed. And then, because insurance is what we call the future promise. So if the data is lost, then you don't know who to pay the claims to and how to pay the claims.
Correct.
So data has to be protected, and not only protected by security measures, it has to be replicated. In our company, we had a 3-tier replication program. There was the DC, there was the DR, disaster recovery system, in another seismic zone, and we had an offline, what we call the near DR system, which was near the DC, so that any which ways the data is not compromised. So all these technology systems must be in place, and it will create an IT environment which is conducive to crop insurance on a large, very large scale.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. What kind of policies and programs, needs to be implemented to afford a measure of safety, financial stability for the farming community? Because I think this is the recent protest that happened for almost, and it's still on, in fact.
Yeah.
I think these programs and policies which you believe needs to be implemented, and especially the small and the marginal farmer category.
Yes. See, first of all, I would like to answer your question with a slight caveat that the recent farmer protests and agitations, actually they were a focused agitation on a certain bill, farmers' bill brought in the parliament, and not really on crop insurance per se.
Right.
However, for policy intervention, as you asked, which goes really beyond the technological enablement of the crop insurance implementation, I feel there are many policy interventions which need to be given to make it more robust. First of all, like crop insurance is considered to be the most scientific and parametric financial tool, financial instrument to bail out the farmer who is in trouble, who has suffered losses.
Yeah.
We know that from time immemorial, earlier governments and many, lot of governments, they have had to bail out farmers who have suffered, say, floods.
Yeah.
They had to bail them out by means of giving them flood relief or drought relief.
Right.
But they were, at best, they were ad hocisms.
Right.
Despite the best effort of the government, there was no attempt to figure out like which farmer has suffered how much loss exactly in an objective manner.
Right.
But crop insurance works on parameters. So there are calculators, there is a formula which is well established. like under what data parameters, what claim is coming and how much he should get. So it might vary from farmer to farmer.
Correct.
And unlike the bailouts, the reliefs which were given, which was, like one size fits all. So therefore, crop insurance has to be given a policy push and a policy support in a much bigger way. We all know that crop insurance now in India is initiated and implemented by the government.
Right.
Current main flagship crop insurance scheme by the government is called the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, that is PMFBY.
Okay.
Entirely from the central and the state government in partnership. The finance is done by them, a lot of data is given by them, and on the basis of which it starts. So on that also, many other policy interventions and support needs to be given by the governments.
Right.
And see, I can tell you this also, that if you ask me, like, what is the one big policy intervention, I will say that crop insurance needs to be turned into a law, an act of the parliament. And I'll tell you the reason why. Crop insurance is a multi-agency program. We, the insurance companies, we are doing the administering, we are doing all the calculations, the database and everything. We are looking to the insurance aspect of it. But the banking network, and let me tell you, with all the banks, commercial, cooperative banks, regional, rural banks, and the cooperative societies, there are about 150,000 points of engagement with the farmers. Without such a network, the last mile farmer cannot be reached at all.
Yeah.
There are other agencies who give the yield estimation. Right. There are agents and brokers who try to market crop insurance and gather all the premium. So it's a multi-agency scheme, and very often it so happens that due to some mistake or something, if there is an injustice or if a deserving farmer doesn't get the claim, the accountability factor, it drops, it slips between the two stools. And each agency will try to put the blame on the other, and there is hardly any concrete legal recourse to that. So this is already, see, crop insurance has been running by the government for, as I said, about from 85 onwards. So that makes it about 35 years, 36 years.
Yeah.
So it's high time, with this tremendous experience, to have an act in the parliament, collating all the experience and all the factors, all the parameters, so that everybody knows what his domain of liability is, what his domain of responsibility is, and acts accordingly, with the fear of reprisal if he fails to do his duty, because the small and marginal farmer is impacted negatively. So the first important thing I would say is to enact a law. That is the first important policy intervention, which I would very strongly recommend, and I feel very strongly about.
Okay. I think great insights, Avinanda. My next question is, what does crop insurance platform look like, and how would it benefit the individual farmer?
Okay. Crop insurance platform. So by platform, we can mean one of two things. One is the administrative platform. What is the scheme like? How does it work? How does it reach the farmer? How does it benefit the farmer? That's one thing. The other one would be the technological platform, which means all that the scheme wants to do, how is it enabled through the technology? So on the technology front, I did tell you a few salient points. Like, as I said, we have to have a full IT environment and an application, core business application. Incidentally, in our company, that is Agriculture Insurance Company of India, we had built the massive core application from scratch. It was a totally bespoke development of our core business application, which is normally, I would say, quite a rarity, especially in government service.
Right. True.
But talking of the policy front, what does the scheme do and how does it benefit the farmers? It's like this. See, like any other insurance, you would have your motor insurance. So what you do is you have your motor car and you fill out a proposal form. It's all individual level, individual based. And then you pay the premium to the insurance company. And God forbid, should there be an accident. So the surveyor comes, he measures the accident and he tells you the repairing. He doesn't give you the full amount. He measures the accident and tells you, okay, you will get 10% of your sum insured. And you get that money to get your car back to the original shape.
Yeah.
In crop insurance, if you wanted to tap each farmer individually, that too, all at the same time in the small window of the sowing season, at the beginning of the agricultural season, then just imagine what kind of an army you would require on the ground of crores of people, maybe to reach all the 14 crore farmers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you can't do it like that. So there was long back, there was one Professor V.M. Dandekar, who is referred to sometimes as the father of crop insurance in India. He was a statistician based out of Pune. And he had come up with a certain scheme and a certain program, which was a collective insurance program, whereby what was done was he tapped the banking network. See, every farmer who takes crop loan, in those days, only the loaning farmers were targeted.
Right.
They could do crop insurance. All crop loans would automatically be insured. And the bank would deduct a small premium from each loan given and send it to the insurance company. That was us. Right. And when the claim comes, when the claim is calculated by us, we would give the lump sum amount to the bank. And the bank at the local level would pay the claim to each individual guy. So this was a channel of movement of funds whereby we could get the premium, we could calculate claims on parametric basis, we could send the claims again in a collective chunk, each bank. So instead of dealing with, let us say, a crore of farmers, claims would be, say, in about 10,000 bank branches. And we would send 10,000 transfers, fund transfers.
Right.
Our work is over.
Right.
Each bank to his own farmers would just pass on the proportionate amount and the process would be completed. It was a very simple, it was a rather brilliant idea, and the brilliance lay in the simplicity of the whole process.
Correct.
Right. So this is how the individual farmer stands to benefit on in a specific manner. It's not one size fits all. For example, let us say there is a flood. Now, when the flood has come, the topography is up and down, hilly, and near the places, the farmlands near the river will be totally lost.
Correct.
But a little highland farms, not only be saved from the flood, they'll escape the flood, but because of the water, they'll have a bumper harvest.
Right.
So the problem would be that the totally lost guy would get the same amount as the bumper harvest guy.
Right. Right.
So that was in case of flood relief. If you decide that all farmers in this district or this tehsil will get, say, rupees 5,000 each. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't really focus or pinpoint on which farmers actually suffered and to what extent.
Right.
But in crop insurance, there are provisions, there is a way of calculation based on data and figures by which, by and large, we can achieve specificity. The kind of loss which a certain section of farmers have suffered, they will be compensated to that extent and not in a very general manner. Right? So this is the big advantage of crop insurance. It's scientific. It's formula driven. There is no error of judgment, etc.
Awesome. 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 And Ananda, how could digital transformation in the crop insurance domain engage more and more farmers?
Okay. Well, when you say engaging more and more farmers, I think what it boils down to is to look at their grievances. If you can tally up the grievances, if you can plug the loopholes so that their grievances are removed to a large extent and their benefits come to the fore, then the farmers themselves will be interested in coming forward more and more farmers will start engaging in crop insurance, right? So what are the big grievances? We have to think of that.
Yeah.
See, in your very initial question, we talked about certain benefits which the technological intervention is doing. Those benefits, they sort of build upon the grievances which would be there. For example, time. Think of a farmer, he cultivates broadly in 2 seasons in the year, broadly, Kharif and Rabi. Now, if he has suffered a total flood loss in Kharif season, then he's broke. He's a poor farmer, he's a small and marginal farmer. And because he's broke, in the next season, he cannot cultivate. So he and his family are on the road, on the streets. Now, how do we help them? How does crop insurance help them? By giving this claim within time, very quickly, so that he can again go to the market, buy the seeds, buy the fertilizers, buy the pesticides, engage labor if required, and all sorts of things. And then he can again go back to agriculture in the Rabi season. And perhaps that season will turn out to be well. Otherwise, if there's a big loss there, again, he should get the claims. So therefore, his first grievance is earlier, before all the technology had come into crop insurance, what used to happen is there was a huge delay in claims because it takes time to settle and calculate, and lakhs and crores of farmers, it's very difficult or time consuming. Now that grievance is being removed to a large extent, has been removed, more needs to be done. That's one grievance. Secondly, there's a big grievance or a big situation where there is ignorance.
Right.
You know, any insurance policy or insurance scheme is a little complicated in parameters. It's difficult to understand for the layman. Many of the people, they shy away from such technicalities and they say, "Hey, we don't need. What is the need? What will happen?" And moreover, today I will pay you a premium, although it may be only 100 rupees or 500 rupees. Tomorrow, whether in the distant future, whether I'll get a claim and how much will I get, and I don't know the future, it's all dark.
Yeah.
All these things, they play into the psychology of the farmer. Yeah. But over the years and years and years, gradually they have seen that crop insurance in the long run is really, really beneficial. And what started in 1985 and 1986, with a few lakh of farmers all across the country, is today about 5-6 crore of farm families, farm holdings. So maybe we are hitting about 40%, 50% of the farm families, farm holdings in India.
Right.
This is a major achievement. Part of the reason is this constant evolution of the scheme, so that we are improving on the various grievance points, pain points, which were there for the farm. So that is how you sort of spread crop insurance.
Yeah. Great insights. Amanda, what changes or benefits, could the farming community see in the crop insurance process with digital transformation being in place? So, what benefits do farmers community see?
Sorry, can I get the question once again?
So what changes or benefits, the farming community can see with this crop insurance process along with the digital transformation in place?
Yeah. Number one change is the farmer has developed a faith not only in crop insurance as a tool of financial mitigation, but he has developed a much broader faith in his age-old vocation of agriculture. He is now confident of going ahead and doing agriculture. Should there be a natural calamity, should the monsoons fail, or should there be an over raining and flood, he knows he's protected. He goes out with confidence and he's therefore not afraid anymore to push more inputs, to spend more on the various inputs, efforts, energies, labor, because he knows that his entire effort will not go waste. It is a big change in the psychology of the farmer and the farming community, which has come through this financial inclusion instrument of insurance. And if you come to think of it, we look, there are still many in the country which look at insurance as a side issue. It's a sort of, okay, we've done insurance, fine. People do not really spend a lot of mind space on insurance.
Yeah.
In the long run and deep inside, without mentioning it, can you imagine that a financial instrument like insurance is bringing in a change in the mindscape of the farming community? They are more eager to engage in agriculture now.
Correct.
They are more confident. They have more trust, not only in insurance, but in themselves.
Right.
So this is the big benefit, shall I call it the ultimate overall umbrella benefit, which has come out of crop insurance, which we do not normally talk about.
Right.
We talk of giving claims and money and this and that, but no, the main thing is the farming community has become more progressive.
Correct.
It's a paradigm shift in agricultural mindset that India has experienced.
Right. Awesome. And what are the challenges in the design and implementation of crop insurance technology, and how could they be overcome?
See, the challenges to crop insurance per se, not necessarily technology. Challenges to crop insurance would be many administrative challenges.
Right.
Starts with the farmers. There are many things. See, when the farmer gets claims, he's happy. When he doesn't get claims, many of them are a little vague as to why did I pay for? There's a tendency in everyone, not just farmers, even in me, that if I'm giving some money, I want something in return. Right? But insurance is not that. Insurance is you give small sums of money so that at the time of calamities, all other people's monies will also be pooled together and finally paid to me as claims.
Right.
This is a rather advanced, very progressive idea, which some people cannot fully appreciate. Right. So this is one challenge, how to change the mindset. The only thing to do is by empirical evidence. As they go along year after year, decade after decade, these mindsets are changing and the challenges are being overcome. However, they are being overcome not just through empirical evidence, but because improvements in the scheme. Yeah. For example, there was a time when only the loan-taking farmers were allowed for crop insurance because the banks used to operate them. Right. From loans, they sent us the premium. Later on, from 1999, so that was after about 15 years of practicing the first crop insurance scheme, it opened to all farmers. Now, all farmers may not be having non-loaning farmers would not be having a crop loan account. They wouldn't be taking loans. That's why they're non-loaning farmers. So how to engage them, how to fix their sum insured, that is the limit of their claims, then how to pin them down, if I want to pay 10,000 rupees to Matthews and 5,000 rupees to Rahim, it should not be a mistake where I confuse the two and I pay 10,000 to Rahim and 5,000 to Matthews.
Correct.
It shouldn't be that.
Correct.
Each person will have to be an insured. Now, it is not possible to give out insurance policies to each guy individually.
Yeah.
All these, the problems of huge numbers were there. And then the timely payment back, which instills his faith that yes, next season I can recultivate, re-engage in agriculture. All these things were there. And all these things they have gradually, the challenges have been taken up one after the other. And they have been addressed and solved so that the curve of crop insurance is very well upwards.
Right. Awesome. This brings me to the last question for our episode today.
Good, I'm relieved.
It's been such a great insight, Vinanda. It's really very insightful, and you're sharing your entire experience, and the way forward is going to be really great for our audience. So my last question, I'm not going to take much time, but any other domain or any other solution that you would like to share for the betterment of the vast farming community in the area of crop insurance specifically?
Well, I didn't know that you saved the hardest question for the last. So this is, I think, the most important question which you have asked in this phase. Crop insurance, it has gone down the path of evolution from, as I said, from long back, but from the government controlled scheme perspective, let us say it was basically from 1985. And it has gradually evolved, expanded, changed, brought in more players. Many of the parameters have been modified, etc., etc. But still, there is a lot of scope for improvement, a lot of areas in which we as implementers are also not fully satisfied. And the farmers also feel aggrieved when those gaps in the scheme, they hit them. I think the first and foremost future thing, technological intervention in the future. I already told you about a policy intervention that crop insurance should be made into a law.
Correct.
So that fixed accountabilities and the scheme will function with a responsibility matrix.
Right.
So the policy side. But now you're asking me as the last question about the technological improvement.
Right.
I can mention to you one or two, but very, very revolutionary technology improvements. The first thing I feel, and I strongly feel about it, and I can say, I think I can speak for my ex-colleagues and those in the crop insurance domain, everybody talks about that, is that we need to identify land parcels. Just think of the human beings and the Aadhaar number. Earlier also a lot of things used to be done.
Yeah.
But it was difficult to pinpoint on a particular person and reach the money to him or take his data or do some analysis or do anything with regard to a person because he could not be focused upon, could not be pointed.
Correct.
But the coming of Aadhaar, so such, I will call it a technological advancement. Why? Not it's simple, it's easy to give you a number 1 and to me a number 2 and 3, 4. Not like that. The number should not be duplicated.
Correct.
Cannot be fudged, cannot be falsified, can be checked. Many of the vital parameters will be attached to that number, the Aadhaar number.
Right.
Then you get a grip on the population of the country. Similarly with land, I will say that this piece of land is mine. You will say it is yours. It might come out to be that within this, a portion of it is yours and a portion is mine. So how do we exactly map the land? In other words, how do we have an Aadhaar database for land? Land is a primary asset of the nation. It is given to individuals, some part of it, sold to individuals, given ownership to individuals, but basically the land belongs to the nation. So the first thing to do is to have an Aadhaar database of land. And let me tell you that it's not as difficult or as impossible as it might seem. In fact, the technology also exists, has been developed.
Okay.
It's there all across the place, but it needs a very strong-willed government to implement it,
Right.
at least in our country.
Right.
That I myself have been involved in doing some mapping land, and the parameter of mapping land is nothing but the latitude and longitude. You can map even 1 square meter of land.
Right.
In fact, you can map even a smaller part of a land, say 1 square foot of land. That is how the entire country will become a vast network of small cubes, small squares, 1 foot square. And as you map it up, then you can identify each piece of land, each piece of that matrix, and it is much bigger than crop insurance also.
Correct. Yeah.
Let us not think of it from crop insurance alone. Crop insurance will be a big beneficiary out of it, but 100 other benefits will be there, just exactly like Aadhaar.
Yeah.
It's all based on latitude and longitude, all technology based from satellite imagery. What you can do is you can drop a virtual net on the whole land space of India.
Right.
Each hole in the net will be given a latitude and longitude identity, and thereby the entire country will be mapped in a small time. And there are many other things. Of course, I'm just oversimplifying the thing, but I've actually seen it. I've been involved in that. I've seen that it is immensely doable, and it brings hundreds of use cases of benefit. One issue here is that for the agriculture in the constitution is a state subject. So there might be a clash of politics or a clash of principles or a constitutional crisis there. But what I still want to point out to you is that land identification or I'm not saying land record digitization. Land record digitization is nothing. You have all the purchase, you have all the land papers, you simply it out on some Excel or something, and then your land record is digitized. No, I'm talking of land digitization. Every piece of land will given an identity number.
Okay.
That is longitude and lat long.
Right.
Give a lat long to each small square of space. And once that is done, see, that is not a matter of agriculture alone. That is an overarching thing like the Aadhaar. For example, say if you take human Aadhaar, earlier everyone could be identified by his license number or his passport number or ration card number, etc. But Aadhaar is not getting into all these domains. Aadhaar is an overarching umbrella. Similarly, the land digitization, and it can be done. It can be done in a few years, provided at the central government level there is that will force and willpower. Right. And let me tell you that once that is done, because I have seen a lot of it, a lot of skeletons will tumble out of the closet. Right. On various use cases of land. But it has to be gone through sooner than later. This is one big technological thing which I think is absolutely essential, not just for crop insurance, but for the progress of our company in future. Another technological intervention which is required is, we need the crop yield data. How much has been the yield? This for every crop in every small area. That's a massive task. And nowadays also it is done. There is not so much of reliability on the data which is collected manually from the field. But it can be done. There are other methods which are being explored, chief amongst them being satellite imagery. Whether you can interpret a satellite image to make out the quality of the quantity and quality of the harvest. So that also a lot of studies are going on, lot of effort by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, lot of engagement is there. That is also one area which will really help, not only in crop insurance, but in crop production. For the entire agriculture ministry itself, it will help if we can, from the satellite image, we can suck out the analyzed data of crop harvest for each crop in each area. I think these two I would like to mention as big time in the interventions,
Right.
from the legal part of crop insurance.
Very visionary thoughts, Avinanda. And in fact, I think this seems to be the way forward as well. So great. I think this session was great, Avinanda. Great insights.
Thank you.
And it was a pleasure to host you. And I'm sure all our viewers are going to get a lot of insights from our session today.
My pleasure was entirely mine.